So this video is a little bit different than the typical Tesla video that I have. I wanted to show you guys the new computer that I've been editing on. I haven't had a new computer since 2010 when I bought a MacBook, 13-inch MacBook. And that computer, worked well at the time for what I was doing. I did try and pump out some 3D on it, had to upgrade the RAM. As you could probably imagine, back in 2010, doing 3D design on that probably wasn't the best. It took days to render certain things and get it out. But this is the first time I'm getting an upgrade since then. What I've been editing on currently is a 2008 Mac Pro that had 32 gigabytes of RAM that I upgraded to, and then I put like an NVIDIA GTX 480 or something like that graphics card in it. So not optimal. So this is really cool for me to be able to show you my unboxing. And if you guys like this, I can always do more videos like this. But let's get into the unboxing. So for the first laptop I ordered, I know what you're thinking. First laptop. I actually ended up having 3 in total, and I'll get into that as we go on. But the first laptop I ordered was the Alienware M15 R2. I got the i9-9980HK processor, so the upgraded one. Even though it probably thermal throttles, I ended up going with the upgraded one. The RTX 2080 graphics card, a terabyte of memory. I also got the 240 megahertz gaming monitor. I loved it. And the computer itself was actually a great computer when it was working properly. Now, my issues with it, I had the motherboard, the logic board, the heatsink, and the graphics card all worked on. I had to send the computer into Dell one of the times. They had a technician come over and countless hours on the phone with tech support. What was happening with mine is as soon as a workload got too heavy for it, the temperature would say it dropped all of a sudden, and it was almost like it was going back to the integrated graphics instead of using the RTX 2080. I had to reinstall the drivers to get it to work properly again, and that was not a for sure fix. Overall, my experience with the laptop wasn't optimal, but when it was working properly, it is a fast computer and really great for video editing and 3D design, which is mainly what I used it for, and a little bit of gaming. I tested out Modern Warfare on it, and as you could probably imagine, it crushed it. You could put everything on high, not 4K high, but I would do 1080p every setting on high, and it was a beast in that. On my first MacBook Pro, I went with the 5500M graphics card with 8 gigabytes of RAM. I also went with the upgraded 2.4 i9 processor, which is the 9980HK, the same as the Alienware. I also went with 64 gigabytes of RAM, which by a lot of standards would also be overkill. But working with 3D, you tend to work with scenes and spaces that need a lot of RAM. And so I wanted to be safe in that. I went with a terabyte of storage, and I really don't think I need more than that a lot of times because of external storage. Whenever I do a video project for somebody else, I've always gotten a new external drive. With my second MacBook Pro, I went with the 5600M graphics card, which has the upgraded faster memory, 8 gigabytes. Also the same processor, 2.4 gigahertz. 9980HK, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and 2 terabytes of storage. Now, the reason this happened is I took it back to the Apple Store, and this was the only option they had available. I think I would have still gone with the 64 gigabytes of RAM, but it was more inconvenience to having it available at that very moment. I've been extremely happy with it. That extra performance that's been coming out of the graphics card is insane. All in all, my personal opinion is if the Alienware had more than 16 gigabytes of RAM, you could upgrade to 32 gigabytes or even 64 gigabytes of RAM. It would kill in the video editing sphere and 3D design sphere. But for me personally, I ended up going with the MacBook Pro. I really enjoy that it was plug and play out of the box. I didn't have any driver issues. And I like that I could upgrade the RAM to a higher amount than just 16 gigabytes. If you have the money, I would suggest going with the 5600M because it has, I think they touted 75% increased performance. I wanted to add one last thing to this video. My wife and I were talking about how it's not fair that the MacBook Pro doesn't have any wheels for it. The Mac Pro gets wheels, but the MacBook Pro doesn't. And so she came up with this great idea.